Good afternoon, fellow Plex server owners. I didn't realize that I was trying to help someone who was asking the same question in both the Plexaholics and the Plex Pals group. Bee Kinney is having trouble seeing his media on a Windows install, and I just assumed it was a permission issue, but I've never heard of people having trouble with permissions under Windows. I'm a Linux guy. This is a VM under Pop! OS. Just a Windows 11 VM, and I have set up a test server here. That's why my IP address is so funky here. So I signed in with an account that's not my normal Plex account, and I was trying to add media, and I had to drag folders in from Linux to the desktop and then move them around, and the first install, or the first try of Plex, couldn't see any files. Well, I didn't do anything besides just move the media folder from one location to another. So I'm going to cut it, and now I'm going to go to the C drive and just paste it in here. So once it's moved once, I could see it, and then no matter where I move it to, I can still see it. So B, maybe just move your folders around, put everything in one structure, one folder, and now if I go to add a library, I can click into C, and I can see my media folder. I can get into the sort folder I've created and then get into the main folder to then add from here. But it was weird that I couldn't see it where I created it first. So now let's do this trick again. If I cut it here, and you had it in your video directory for your user. So let me go to my user, my video folder, and paste it in here. And let's show you the structure I have. I have a sort folder for all movie libraries and a sort folder for all TV show libraries in a simple folder called media. Then inside the movie library are the actual different movie libraries. The main one, the kids one, and the documentary. Inside the main one, I have the good formatting that you showed in your example screenshot. The movie name, followed by the source ID, TMDB. You did a series, and in my TV show library sort folder, in the main folder for the main library, I'm not actually using the source ID for TVDB. And there's one thing, if you're going to do that, it means you're naming from TVDB, and I want to show you an advanced setting change. But, so we've moved this to the same structure you have. I couldn't see it until I moved it around the first time, and then Windows could see it. So let me add a TV show library. I'll just leave the name like that. Click Next. Browse for the media. And I don't have to go to my C drive. I should just be able to go to my user, into videos, into that media folder I created, into my TV-library sort folder, and into the main folder. And once you see your season folder name on the right, that's where you stop and you click Add. Before I do Add Library, I want to go to the Advanced option, and I want to go to Episode Ordering and change that to the TVDB. This will be aired ordering by default. If you rip a series and from DVD or Blu-ray, and TVDB lists that order differently than it does aired ordering, at the show level, you can change that. And let me show you that. Let me just go to Next. We'll just do the one library for now. So this is Plex's free stuff, and here's that library. And you'll see from the recommended tab, it just shows all the recently added episodes. And now it's showing 8 episodes of this TV show, Life with Elizabeth. This is now in public domain, so I can't get in trouble for seeing it. And because everything's named properly, it pulled in great metadata. Well, if this happened to be a show that had a different DVD ordering than the aired ordering, you could edit the whole show. You can't be in a season. Edit the whole show, and under Advanced, you can change the episode ordering, which is now TVDB aired by default because I made the global change when setting the library up. You can now change it to anything you want. You can go back to the aired ordering from the movie database, which in almost every single case is the same as the TVDB aired ordering, or I can change to either the DVD or absolute ordering from TVDB. So you're already naming to the TV database. Globally set your library to pull from that ordering, and that would be at the TV show level. You would hit the three dots, edit, advanced, make that change. I simply made that change when I set things up. So now if I want to add more libraries, I can go to settings, I can drop down. Yes, and I know I don't have remote access. It's a virtual session of Windows. I can go to the Manage section under Libraries and add a library. And now add in, I'll do my main movie library. It's all public domain. So I can go through Albert. If I had left the folder where it was, I would go through the C drive to find the media. But I now have it in my video folder like you do. Media. Into the movie sort folder. I'm clicking too fast. Main. And that's my main movie library. Now, you really don't have to change any advanced options here, but I do change one thing. I want to create automatic collections if I have 2 movies on the server, at least 2 movies. It won't create it for the first Back to the Future movie, but the minute you add the second or the third movie in that series, it will create the collection. And that's the only change I make here. So let's add another TV show library. We'll call this one Dash Kids. Browse for the media. I'll go into Video, Media, the TV Dash Library Sort folder, and now I'll pick the actual Kids TV show library. Again, I will go to that advanced setting and change episode ordering to the TVDB, and I'll add it. And then we have 2 movie libraries to add. We'll call this one Dash Kids. I'll browse. I can just go to Videos, Media, Movie Dash Library, into the Kids, add, and I'll do that same collection setting. And we'll do the last movie library. We'll just call this one Documentaries. I'll browse for it. Do the same collection setting, the automatic collection setting. Now if I go to Home, my watch list is first, then Discover, and then the TV show library, the main movie library. Let's change that to the Library tab. The TV show Kid Library, and of course it only has one show in it. The Kids Movie Library, and the Documentary Movie Library. So I don't know what it is with Windows, and again, I'm not a Windows user, but I figured out pretty quickly that I did not have permission to see. And all I did was drag files from Linux into the desktop, and they all landed here. I've got Spice enabled in this client of Windows 11, and that enabled me to drag files in. I couldn't drag folders in. And then I just made a media folder someplace, and then I created the structure that I needed for the files. And when I installed Plex and pointed to it, I couldn't see it. And I thought that was odd. And I just decided to move that whole folder. I'm always lost in Windows. Linux makes a lot more sense to me. So I just decided to move that folder under the local C drive, and I could see it. And then I moved the folder back where it was, and I could see it. And then I decided to follow your lead and put it in the video folder, and again I could see it. So, B, I really think if you just move your whole structure once and then put it back to wherever you want it to be, it might just work the same way. But I would caution you to wherever you have it, and let me see, it's in videos, create a folder simply called media, all lowercase, no spaces. And then you might benefit from using the same sort library that I'm doing. I would actually create 5 of these normally. Movie-library, TV-library, music-library, other-library, and photos-library. 1 for each type of Plex library. And then, if you want multiple movie libraries or a single one, name your single one main in case you want to add a kids library, in case you want to add a separate documentary library, in case you want to add a concert library, a stand-up library. So most concerts have a Blu-ray or a DVD recording of them. A lot of them do. They're all listed in the movie database as a movie, so they would all go into a movie library, but you might not want to mix them into your main movie library. So it's kind of a nested structure, and if you don't have kids, you only have one movie library. But if you share with friends and family who have kids, you might want to create a kids library. And it's a lot easier to segregate it, to only give, maybe create a separate Plex account, or your friends would create a separate Plex user account for their kids, and that way you can restrict those kids to just the one library. Because this is an issue. If you use ratings restrictions, well, these older movies might not be rated. They might have weird rating schemes, and if you set permissions up for a kid's account to not see R-rated or X-rated or PG-13 rated material, well, the not rated stuff will still come through. And some people fix this by giving all the kids' content a special rating that they can then assign to kids users. That's a whole lot of work as your library scales up. That means every movie you add, you have to go in and adjust the rating. Well, if you're adding kids' movies only to a kids' movie library folder, and you have a separate Plex library for it, you don't have to change or edit anything in Plex, because to follow that other train of thought, I'd have to go in here, I'd have to find the tag. Well, maybe it's not here, maybe it's under General. I'd have to change this manually. And of course you could highlight movies as a group, so I selected the first one, and now I can click any place on the rest of them and edit them en masse if I wanted to change the rating just for kids approved content. But still, that's a lot more work than just having a separate library. So I know I went off on a tangent, and I'm not a Windows user. I installed a special VM just to try to help solve your problem, and I think I did. And I don't know what the bug is with Windows, but as soon as I move that library, the main library folder, around someplace else, suddenly this virtual install of Windows could see my Plex media folder. And actually, it's a lot more difficult under Linux. on a Linux desktop or laptop to set permissions, which is why I always recommend Ubuntu being used, because the snap version of the Plex install sets some basic permissions that eliminates a lot of headaches for a small Linux server. Naturally, I think all Plex servers, as they grow, eventually move to a Docker container under shared network storage, but that's another story. So Bee, hopefully this sets you on the right path, and I'll get this video on YouTube so I can get it out to you in one or maybe both of the groups. Happy Plexing.